Welcome to Better Together with your hosts, EmmaLee Italia and Jennifer Morrow. When we all work together, we are stronger and can accomplish more for the kingdom of God. And now, here are the hosts of Better Together, EmmaLee Italia and Jennifer Morrow.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Better Together. I'm Jen Morrow.
I'm EmmaLee Italia, and it's great to be back again. We're actually shivering a little bit this morning because it's finally fall.
It showed up overnight.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to stick around, but
I like it.
It is nice to have the crispness in the air.
I busted out my boots today. It was my first boot sighting.
I'm still clinging to the sandals. Probably not a good idea, though, at this point.
I love boots, so I was like, yay, they're back.
Get your pumpkin spice.
It's October.
Yeah,
I have a funny story to tell you. Y'all, I think you guys are going to like this one. So I bought, Halloween candy for trunk and treats and all of that.
Already? Wow.
I bought it at the beginning of September.
Oh, my
And
goodness.
I thought, I'm going to be prepared. So the bags have been sitting in there for 3 weeks unopened, and I'm feeling pretty proud of myself because they're not open. You always buy the bag and then it's empty.
Once it's open, it's over.
Exactly. So the other day I'm like, I made it to the end of the month and without opening it. And then I was like, oh no, I have a whole nother month to go.
Here you thought you reached the goal.
I did. And then I said, and I opened it.
Oh, no.
So I just opened it last night.
Oh, my gosh.
October 2nd.
Is there going to be anything left by the 31st?
I don't. I plead the 5th.
Because I know in my house there wouldn't be. I'd be like, oh no, emergency shopping.
I'm sure that is exactly what's going to happen. I tried to buy candy this year that was like things I won't eat, like the sweet stuff and the gummy bears.
Yeah.
But there are a few like Kit Kats and some in there. So that's what got dug into last night.
Oh my goodness.
When I realized it was only October 2nd.
And then there's the trend of the non-edibles for the kids who have allergies, which I think is a wonderful idea. But I'm always hopeful that I won't have leftovers. And lately, our neighborhood has just not had enough trick-or-treaters. So I'm like, if I have 30 Play-Dohs left over, what do I do with those?
That's a good point. Yeah. Well, that is the danger of buying the candy I won't eat either, because what I'm going to do with all these gummy bears afterward, the chocolate I'll eat, but I'm not eating the gummy bears. So then I'll just donate it, I guess.
Yeah, I think a lot of schools or even dentist's offices I have seen will actually take donations of candy. They have like an incentive program, donate your candy and we'll give you, I forget, like a little prize or something, to get the kids to not chew all that stuff.
Oh, interesting.
In schools, like my kids' former school actually will send them to the troops overseas, like if you want to bring in extra candy, which I love that.
Cool. I like that idea a lot.
So they're probably waiting for their it'll be after October, it'll be November, like a special care packages.
It just shows up with all these sweets.
Right. Oh.
The other thing that was interesting is that how long we've been doing the Better Together show? Going on a year and a half?
I think so.
Yeah, about a year and a half.
Yeah.
The station's in Ewing. And this morning I texted EmmaLee to say, could you send me the address again? And she did not say anything like, what is happening? She did not. God bless you. You did not say, Jen, are you okay? You just sent it to me, no questions asked.
I have those mornings myself. In fact, this morning was one of those mornings. I actually was very preparing before I came, just had everything beautifully written out, all of my questions for our wonderful guest who's coming up, and I proceeded to leave it on the kitchen counter. So hopefully it's fresh enough in mind that you don't forget everything important.
So as you can see, listeners, we don't know what you're getting today.
It'll be fantastic.
It'll be
wonderful. What's going on in Diocese of Camden?
Diocese of Camden has been busy. Holy moly, we've been busy. Actually, all of the dioceses in the state of New Jersey have been busy. Newark has a new auxiliary bishop.
That's right.
Metuchen's Bishop Checchio has been appointed Archbishop of New Orleans.
That's amazing. Congratulations, Bishop Checchio.
Oh, and we should also give Mary Morrell a shout out today. She's the editor of the Catholic Spirit in the Diocese of Metuchen, and I know that she is saying a prayer for us today because our guest is from the Diocese of Metuchen.
Oh, that's exciting.
So,
yes,
the Diocese of Camden has been hitting the ground running. Bishop Williams is out all the time. We have our white mass. We have 15 men being ordained to the permanent diaconate.
Oh, and is your ordination coming up really soon?
It's October 4th.
Oh, wonderful.
October 4th.
Wow, that's this weekend.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
So that's exciting. The Catholic Star Herald has a new employee.
Oh,
So
lovely.
I know, very exciting. Lori Nichols, she is a journalist with 25 years experience.
Oh, what a
She's
gift.
an editor, a writer, and a photographer, an outstanding photographer, an award-winning
You got a
photographer.
jack of all
I
trades.
do. And so we'll be introducing her around the Diocese of Camden soon.
Lovely.
With her primary concentration down on the shore areas, the Atlantic County, Cape May County, things like that. So, yeah, that is really exciting, and she'll be going around meeting people.
Oh, excellent. I'm so
And
glad for you guys.
oh, and in the Diocese of Trenton, in the Diocese of Patterson, their bishop Sweeney, correct?
Yes.
Thank you. He just gave the homily for the March for Life here in the Diocese of Trenton.
That was such a wonderful, and this year, unfortunately, I couldn't be there personally, but I'm reading the reporting afterwards and looking at all the photos. And it just, again, just like last year, the inaugural year, it was just such a beautiful gathering of the entire state of New Jersey. You know, great representation from all of the dioceses. I think it was, oh boy, I'm going to get the number wrong. I think it was more than 1,500 people who came
Wow.
for the Mass. And then, you know, despite the rainy weather, walking over and being there for the rally and the march afterwards, lots of student groups, like just amazing. how
That's
many-
what was surprising. I mean, eye-openingly wonderful, surprising is when I was looking through the photos for the Mass and March for Life in Trenton. It was I would say more young people than not. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what I got from the photos.
Mhm.
You know, it was really impressive to see that representation from the younger generation. So really proud of our state.
Yeah, me too. All of our
So-
Catholic schools that showed up. I definitely from across the state because I saw high schools from Metuchen and Newark there. So for sure.
I wonder if
we
they're
had
they're
some.
just really taking to heart our new millennial saint, Saint Carlo Acutis, and then Saint Pier Giorgio Frassati.
Mhm.
That was a big deal for our last issue where we covered the shrine over in St. Dominic's in Brick. They had a very special mass and rededication of the shrine to St. Carlo Acutis and recognition of both these young saints that I think it's amazing to have these more contemporary voices in the church that the kids can look up to.
Mhm.
I mean, we all can really, but just, you know, to have somebody who's, wow, this is someone who lived within the last century or so that I can relate to and what they liked to do and how they lived their lives, and really it makes sainthood, I think, so much more accessible.
Mhm. Yeah, so I saw the cover of the Monitor for the month of September, and it was the coverage of the.
For those on YouTube.
For those on YouTube, we're showing off the beautiful cover.
Yes. we got
That
the-
was really
St.
really
Dominic's
nice.
Yeah, it just, and they just look so pleased to be there to do their part to recognize the new saint.
Oh, was it
Amazing.
crowded at
Oh,
the at the church?
As far as I could tell, it looked like there was standing room only. You know, just the enthusiasm is really infectious.
Oh, that's great. All right. So, and what's on tap for October on the Monitor?
Oh boy, we've got well, of course, the month of the Rosary
Mhm.
coming up, and so our Bishop O'Connell has written a special piece reflecting on that, and also echoing Pope Leo XIV's call to ask people to pray the Rosary daily throughout the month of October. So, you know, and we're already a few days into October. I'm like, wow, I'm missing the mark. I really need to get on board here, but yeah, that's going to be a personal goal of mine to try to do that more often. If I can't do it daily, at least, you know, to try to incorporate that more often.
Mhm.
You know, just rediscover the power of that particular prayer and the power of the intercession of Our Lady.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting. We're talking about the Rosary in October, and our guest today is a Carmelite nun who will be talking about prayer.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully she can help us with our prayer life.
I'm really hopeful because I find that I struggle with when it's all on me and there's not a structure like the Mass or, you know, something specific. Okay, I need to be here in this place and say these things.
Yeah.
It's difficult to say, okay, now I have to take ownership of this very intimate conversation. How do I do that? And it's also, you know, difficult to do when it's someone who you don't hear audibly. You know, most of us do not hear God speaking to us in that fashion. We have to really tune in and be in a quiet space. So I'm excited for our guests' insight into that.
I am too. I will admit that, as you know, she had two podcast or radio shows, and the first one was about Carmelite spirituality for busy people, and we'll talk to her about that. But that one kind of that title jumped out at me because, I'm definitely the kind of person who go, 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 go. And then when I finally do stop, I think I'm just filling my brain with other things to not think about what I go, 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 go all day about.
Right.
It's hard, very, very difficult for me to just sit in quiet with myself and God. And I don't know why. I don't know if it's because I'm just trying to, I think I'm trying to distract myself from everything that happened that day.
And our world has become just bombarded with distraction. You really don't have to. If you want to be distracted 24/7, you can.
Yeah.
And there's really it's actually become difficult to find a quiet place. And then when you are in the quiet, your brain keeps churning and going through the to-do list and trying to keep bringing yourself back to the place of quiet and contemplation is really challenging.
I was talking to a priest friend of mine the other day, and about this, and he said you need to take some time. He said a lot more eloquently than I'm saying it right now, by the way, and do the things that you like to do. And I said, I'll be honest, Father, I don't know what that is anymore.
Oh,
And he said, okay, that's a problem.
right, to rediscover.
Yeah, what do I like to do? I used to love to read, and I still do. But when you read as a living, you're editing all the time. The last thing I want to do sometimes when I come home at night is read, So I'm like, I have to rediscover hobby or find new hobbies, rediscover what I like. It's a little harder than I thought.
Right, and then to take the time to be invested in it, because when you start something, you kind of, if it's a new hobby, well, to get into it and enjoy it, you have to spend time with it.
Yeah.
And to devote that, okay, I'm going to give this amount of time to this every day. And I imagine, Sister will say, that's the same with prayer. In order to develop this relationship with our Lord, we have to devote time and be intentional about it, be consistent about it in order for that to develop. So I'm looking forward to what you have to say.
So far, the only thing I'm consistent about is giving cats kisses and snuggling. I was saying the other day, I play this game with myself first thing in the morning is, what did I Google last night before I fell asleep?
Oh, no.
Because I always fall asleep on reading the news, which is part of the problem.
Oh, yeah.
And the last thing I was Googling when I woke up the other morning, I was like, let me see what I Googled last night was, do cats like kisses? So, sister, we're going to need your, I'm personally going to need your advice. So, we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we will have Sister Gabriella with us to lead us into a prayerful life.
Bishop Robert Barron on the priesthood.
For the first 1,000 years, there were married priests within the church. There still are married priests under certain circumstances, so it's not absolutely necessary. However, I'm a supporter of it, and I wouldn't want us to move in the direction of kind of a, hey, optional, some do it, some don't. I get it. And I go back to Paul, and it's Paul's words that are actually in the ordination ritual, about an undivided life, a total gift. I have nothing but the greatest respect for married people. In fact, when I hear the term heroic sanctity, when they talk about saints, I think of parents right away, who give themselves to their kids. But there's something, I think, pure and simple and undivided about the life of celibacy. It's a radical conformity unto the celibate Christ. Why am I celibate? My ultimate answer, because Jesus was, and I'm conformed to him.
The leading Catholic voices are on EWTN Radio.
Well, as a teenager, I didn't really see how relevant religion was in my life. In my early 20s, I began to look at other faiths. Well, I understand as a Catholic that the things that I was given at a very early age, those things never ended. They're still with me. That's what drew me back. Because the Catholic Church is worldwide, there are so many different types of people that come to the church, and it's a place where I feel accepted for who I am. I'm where God wants me to be. And I feel like my life can be used for what he wants now. And when I came back, I said, Lord, you were waiting for me the whole time with your arms open wide. And I have come home.
If you've been away from the Catholic Church for whatever reason, we invite you to take another look. Visit CatholicsComeHome.org today.
Welcome back, everybody, to Better Together. I'm Jen Morrow.
I'm EmmaLee Italia.
And with us on the show today, we are so blessed to have Sister Gabriella of the Incarnation, and she's from Flemington of Carmel up in Flemington. Hello, Sister.
Hello, I'm glad to be with you.
Oh, we're so honored. Thank you. So I have to say, one of the things we'll be talking to you about today is your radio and YouTube program that you have. So I was watching the program, and as soon as your face came up, it was so full of joy. I immediately just smiled. I couldn't help it. You have the most peaceful face of anybody I think I've ever seen.
Thank you. That is a tremendous compliment because it's joy that's going to share the church.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So, Sister Gabriella, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and the Carmelite Sisters up in Flemington?
All right. Carmel was founded in 1949, and we have been in our present monastery since 1972. I entered in 1979, and I made my solemn profession in 1987, and I've been here ever since, except for a trip to another Carmel to help out for a while, and also work for the order.
It's really pretty up there. My sister lives right around the corner. She goes to St.
Magdalene de Pazzi.
Yes, there.
Yeah.
So
to stop by sometime.
I'm going to stop by sometime because I've seen the sign, but I've never driven over there because I was like, can I just show up? And now I can show up. I know somebody.
Right. You can name drop.
Go to the turn and ask to speak to me. I'm sure Mother will allow it.
Oh, that's lovely. Sister Gabriella, it is wonderful to meet you. This is EmmaLee. I'd like to know a little bit about the Carmelite order. This is the Discalced Carmelites, correct? And it's founded by St. Teresa of Avila?
Well, actually, the Carmelite order goes back to around 1208. After the Third Crusade, if anybody's ever read Ivanhoe, they'll know about Richard the Lionhearted, who led the Third Crusade to at the end of the 12th century. And some of the crusaders who went on that crusade decided to stay in the Holy Land and live as hermits on Mount Carmel. And in about 1208, the Latin Patriarch of Jerusalem drew up a rule, which is called the Rule of St. Albert. His name was Albert Vercelli, for them. And after that, the order spread to Europe. And then in 1562, Teresa of Jesus, Teresa de Ahumada, who was a Carmelite, began her, it's called a reform, but really she never thought of it that way. She just wanted to return to the original life, living the rule, and she founded her first monastery in Avila, San Jose, which is still in existence. And so the Discalced Carmelites are her descendants. Discalced means barefoot, basically.
Oh.
Because there was a movement at that time, a renewal for the church, and a number of religious orders decided to emphasize the vow of poverty by wearing the footwear of the poor, which is sandals or rope-soled shoes. So we're the barefoot Carmelites.
Wow, that is interesting.
I think you should get T-shirts that say "Barefoot Carmelites."
Oh, wow.
That's great. So it's kind of like if you're thinking like the Franciscans, like as soon as you said the sandals, immediately I think of the Franciscan friars.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Same idea, the life of poverty and life of focus on prayer.
Identification with the poor.
Yeah.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
So amazing. And then Saint Teresa is the inspiration for the podcast that you started. And how on earth did you get the idea for and make a podcast happen? I'm really curious how that took off.
Well, we set up a website for the Flemington Carmel quite a number of years ago because that's where people are going to get to know us.
Sure.
And so I was in charge of the website for a number of years, and I was writing articles for the website to share Carmelite spirituality, Carmelite life. And it was basically just that until 2016, I think. Let me just check.
That was your
Yeah,
original.
2016, when Pope Francis promulgated Votum Dei Quaerere, which was an apostolic constitution for all the contemplative nuns worldwide. And it was followed a couple years later by Cor Oran, which was an instruction sent out by the Dicastery for Consecrated Life, giving detailed steps to be taken for renewing the life of contemplative nuns. Now that includes Carmelites, cloistered Dominicans, Benedictines, quite a number of orders worldwide. There was some pushback against the document, and in 2021, Archbishop Vigano and a number of other people accused Francis of trying to destroy contemplative life in the church. That was not the opinion of most contemplative nuns. So my prioress gave me permission to post online on our website an open letter to Archbishop Vigano, pointing out that there might be some people who thought that, but most contemplative nuns did not agree. Their documents were challenging, but as one Dominican prioress said, if we had Cor Orans 50 years ago, we wouldn't be having the problems we have nowadays.
Interesting.
So I've been following the articles on the website Where Peter Is, set up by Mike Lewis. And Mike became aware of the open letter to Archbishop Vigano, and I suggested to Mike that I write some articles to explain Cor Orans to people.
Okay.
And he published them on Where Peter Is. And since then, I've been writing regular articles for Where Peter Is and a few other websites. The forum for discussion for Where Peter is Smart Catholics, which is a Catholic social media. And the moderator of Smart Catholics, Dominic D'Souza, picked up on a saying of St. Teresa that I quoted about foundation stones. Teresa wrote to her daughters, if any of you see her order declining, she should become the kind of person, a foundation on which it can be rebuilt. So Dominic picked up on that, and the two of us did a course on foundation stones, applying that to the church, how to be a foundation stone in the church on which the church can be rebuilt again. That course is also posted on our website, and it's available the same way that the present one is. The present course, Walking with Teresa, I grew out of a study I did of Teresa's own experience in prayer. Teresa entered the Carmelite order when she was about 21, and very shortly afterwards, she had very serious health problems. She was sent for a treatment in another town, and the treatment wouldn't begin until the spring, so she spent the winter staying with her sister. On the way, while she was going to her sister's, her uncle, who was a very pious man and later became a religious, gave her a recently published book called The Third Spiritual Alphabet. And Teresa mentioned that, saying that she decided to put that book into practice.
And that book was authored, that book was by Francisco
de Osuna. Yes, he was a Franciscan. And Carmelites have known about the book, and some have read it, but I don't know that it has ever been actually studied or put into practice. And when I read the book quite a number of years ago, I realized that what Francisco de Osuna was teaching was very similar to an experience I had about what I called concentration, which is basically focusing on what you're doing and why you're doing it. And so that became the basis for the course Walking with Teresa that Dominic D'Souza and I put together recently.
And it's designed for not necessarily for people who are already living the religious life, but just all of us who are lay people looking for a basic instruction on how to get into prayer and have that contemplative experience. Am I right?
Well, basically, it's for serious Catholics,
Mm-hmm.
and most serious Catholics already do pray. You know, they have their devotions, they have their prayers, their focus. They're trying to live the Catholic faith. Osuna focuses it on what you're doing, why you're doing it, and then trusting God enough to let him take over your life.
Mm.
So the complete name of your initiative is Walking with Teresa: A Beginner's Guide to Intentional Spiritual Growth.
Yes.
And you also had another one. Let me grab my
While you're
notes.
looking, I'm going to give out the website for
Okay.
that so that people, if
Okay.
you want to listen to the series, I actually started listening to it myself. It's at flemingtoncarmel.org, Carmel. And then if you go to the menu at the top, it's, I believe, From Carmel's Desk. If you click there, and then there's a link to this series.
The series. And then you also had you had Carmelite spirituality for busy people. Let me try that again. First Carmelite spirituality for busy people. So I definitely see a theme between both of these shows, which is it seems like trying to help people meet people where they're at in today's busy world.
Yes, because when you read books about spirituality, it can seem very complicated, very detailed, and rather disconnected from what we do in ordinary life.
Sure.
And people often believe that contemplative nuns spend their whole day on their knees praying. We do try and spend our whole day praying, but as far as being on our knees, our schedule basically divides itself into about 8 hours of prayer in various forms, 8 hours of work, and 8 hours of sleep. And
So it's a balance.
it's a balance. It's interspersed. We have daily mass. We have, say, the full liturgy of the hours. We have 2 hours of mental prayer and an hour of spiritual reading. And it's interspersed with taking care of the monastery, doing the bookkeeping, meeting people at the turn, taking care of the garden, taking care of the animals. We have 2 dogs. And there's enough work to focus us on very practical matters. Housekeeping is an essential part of of our life. And so we can identify with people who have a lot to do and who really can't take time out to focus on highfalutin spiritual discussions. And it's basically doing everything you're doing with God.
Right, taking the ordinary and elevating it through
Exactly.
through prayer and contemplation.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, in the course, Walking with Teresa, the first step in Osuna's book is to do what you are doing with all of you, gather all of your focus together and focus on what you're doing and doing it for God. And I use the example of brushing your teeth, which is not something that most people would think of as a spiritual activity.
True.
No.
And so basically, it comes down to 4 questions. What am I doing? I'm brushing my teeth. Why am I doing it? First of all, to avoid having to go to the dentist. Secondly, to not scare people away if I talk to them because of bad breath. Is this God's will for me? That's the clincher. Yes, because I have to take care of my body. That's an essential part of me and my relationship with God. And then, what effects does it have? And so when you look at brushing your teeth that way, it becomes an act of prayer.
That's interesting because, when we think of prayer, we probably have a narrow definition of what that is. And it may involve, I have to put myself in a very specific place and frame of mind and, turn off everything else. Like we were just discussing earlier about how difficult it is to get our minds to quiet and get away from the distractions. But this seems almost a way of embracing some of those things that we have to do and just let's find a new way of looking at them.
Well, Teresa was very practical, and she admits you can't really corral your mind and make it behave and focus on what you want. It'll be off in another direction in about 2 seconds.
Yeah.
So, okay, accept that your mind is going all over the place and focus on what you're doing and why you're doing it.
So it could be something like I'm preparing dinner because I need
Exactly.
to
Why are
nourish
you
my
preparing
body
dinner?
and feed the people who are in my household, and that's a good thing, because that's how we're designed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Sister, I was talking to EmmaLee before we called you in and saying that as, we're all so busy and one of my pitfalls is that when I get home after work, I continue to distract myself by putting the TV on in the background when I'm making dinner, or put a radio on, anything to be honest, anything so I don't have to spend time with myself, and like how is a first step, what can be a first step to say, okay, no, you need to spend time with yourself, turn everything off?
Okay, well, first of all, admit that it's going to be difficult.
Yeah.
Okay, that takes some pressure
off.
off.
If you're high and you want to be in ecstasy, you're going to be disappointed.
Yeah.
Right.
Teresa admits that her mind simply was all over the place. But my mind isn't all of me. My choices are another part of me.
Mm-hmm.
And I compared it to trying to teach a very flighty puppy to heel. You're okay. You're going walk, heel. 2 seconds later, heel, heel. You keep calling
Constant
your
redirection.
mind back, and it's a very boring, tiresome exercise. But it reminds you of what you're really interested in, and that is where you will be able to root yourself. It's what you really want. It's not so much what you can do as to what you really want.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I know in one of your episodes of your recent podcasts, you talk about how prayer is small, deliberate steps. Would you consider this along those lines?
Prayer begins with where I'm at. Because I have to begin with where I'm at if I'm going to go anywhere. If I start with where I want to get to, that's necessary, but I do have to start with where I'm at. And where I'm at, that's why I use the example of brushing your teeth.
Mm-hmm.
Brushing your teeth, doing the shopping. We don't go out for the shopping, but we do have housework. We do. I take care of the dogs. I help answer the email. We all have work. And to realize that God is with me before I even begin to do it.
Mm.
He's with me more than I'm with him.
Mm.
That's a good point.
And he doesn't walk out on me just because I get distracted.
That's a good reminder, too.
Yeah.
I think it's also encouraging how you're talking about St. Teresa, the fact that she was young. She well, you said 21, yeah, and that means there's hope for me, my old self.
Teresa struggled with distractions for about 14 years.
Oh, my.
She was a very gregarious person. She was a people person.
Mm.
And she had a great ability for friendship. And that was recognized in her convent. As there was a benefactor who was visiting. They usually called Teresa because she was so engaging and basically irresistible. But it was a challenge for her because she was so good at being with people that she got caught up in their lives.
Mm.
And she found it very difficult to step back and focus on God when the people were gone. So she struggled with that for about 15, 16 years.
It sounds
And-
like she was kind of an extrovert, and maybe just, she was getting fed on that energy of having people around her, so that when she was left to her own devices, where an introvert might be relieved, it sounds like she might have been a little like struggling in that capacity.
Probably. I mean, she had a gift for friendship.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're good at something, it can also kind of take over.
Sure.
And she really had to hand it over to God. And her spiritual director recognized the problem and had her do a novena, the Veni Creator Spiritus.
Oh.
And during that novena, she heard, what was it? And I forget exactly what it was that God said, but it focused her on God. And from then on, she said she was not able to be a friend with anybody who wasn't a friend of God.
Oh, interesting.
And that was when her spiritual life took off.
It's
But she struggled. I mean, she really couldn't do it on herself, by
It's
herself.
fascinating to hear about Saint Teresa in this way, because if you've only ever known her through her writing, I mean, my impression of her was that she was always this person who's, responsible for the interior castle and some of her other great works. And the fact that she was a mystic, I just find that amazing, given what sounds like where she started. And I imagine that mysticism, well, just for our listeners, how would you describe mysticism in a way that we can understand it today?
I say basically it's a desire for God.
Okay.
And the desire itself is given by God. And like any desire, we have to follow it up and accept it. It's rather like St. Thomas Aquinas' sister who asked, how can I become a saint? And Thomas replied, will it? It's a little bit short.
Is that all?
But when you want something, you look into what do I need to do in order to achieve it.
Yeah.
And just proceed as one foot in front of the other, it sounds like.
So on the second, I think it's the second episode of your podcast, I'm going to just you mentioned specifically something you tell your novices, that when you're talking about meditation, it's what is a theme song that comes to your mind when you're in that first step of getting to know God?
Oh, that's a great exercise.
Actually, St. Augustine puts himself forward. Getting to know me, may I know me, may I know you, and may I desire nothing but you.
Oh, wow. I love that.
Yeah.
But I do have to get to know myself.
And then,
Because I'm somebody that God loves. And what is this somebody that it's so mysterious that God can love me?
and that he does so for each individual he's ever
Each
created.
individual.
Which can be difficult to embrace when you don't love yourself,
Oh,
or
yeah.
when you're looking in the mirror being
Yeah.
hard on yourself
Yeah.
for something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The self-loathing is
Mhm.
unfortunately far too rampant in our world today.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably accentuated by all of these constant distractions on the screens that are feeding that.
Mhm.
They're the reasons that you have to be down on yourself, or to, well, you have to live up to this next person.
So it's really interesting with St. Teresa, when she began to have her extraordinary experiences, it was arranged for a priest, Gaspar Daza, to talk with her. And he was a bit in a hurry. And he set the bar rather too high. And she admits, I couldn't do what he told me to do. He was asking too much of me at the time, which is very human.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically, she needed to admit that, okay, God is calling me. I can't pull myself up by my own bootstraps. And she admitted to her spiritual director that she tried to focus on God, and it was too difficult. And that was when he told her to make a novena to the Holy Spirit.
Mm.
But trying to focus on God is important. And it's very interesting. St. Francis St. Francis de Sales and St. Jane de Chantal. Jane had very high aspirations, and she wasn't having the prayer life that she really wanted. So she complained to her spiritual director, Francis de Sales, and she wrote back, I understand that you want to fly in prayer, and you're not able to. Well, my advice to you is enjoy not flying. Don't try and pull yourself up by your own bootstraps.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But desire it. Because God answers our desires. He gives them in the first place.
And if he didn't plant that desire, then he wouldn't also give you the means to achieve it.
He wouldn't give you the means.
Mm-hmm.
He often doesn't give you the means as quickly as you want,
Right.
which is very frustrating. But look at it as a courtship.
Mm.
Again, getting to know you.
And it's forcing us to take those baby steps and to be a little graceful with ourselves, or a little forgiving of our not being able to achieve the heights. I mean, nobody's going to levitate the first time they try praying.
Well, basically, it's learning to love myself as God loves me, which is always much more than I love myself.
Good reminder. What were some of the things that St. Teresa was known for when it came to her extraordinary, when she got to that place where she had that extraordinary relationship with Jesus? I know I'm referring to levitation because that was the one that popped to
That
mind.
was the one that you noticed. Yes,
Right.
and it was very embarrassing because people would come to, watch her. And there were also apparently instances of bilocation.
Oh, my.
Apparently, she had some contact with the missionaries in the New World. I haven't read too much about that, but basically, I think it was the bilocations that were most disruptive because people wanted to come and watch them.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. And in our current age, it's very easy to go to another continent via YouTube or the internet or something. But the idea that she could have that connection in the 1500s is pretty amazing.
When we were talking earlier about the book, The Third Spiritual Alphabet, correct?
Yes.
Did she know? Did she know him personally, or did she read the book and then go from there? Or did she ever get to meet him, or is that the same time period?
I don't think she met him. He died fairly young. He wrote the book when he was only 30.
Oh, my.
And it was, as far as I know, it was the first book on mystical theology written in the vernacular in Spain.
Oh.
So it was rather a special book.
Mm-hmm.
I'm quite sure, I never heard that she met him. She was very, very sick for the next couple of years, and he died fairly young. So she, as far as I know, she only knew him from the book.
Okay.
He'd written 2 other books earlier, one on prayer and the other on practicing the virtues. The third spiritual alphabet was the first book on mystical theology written in Spanish.
Okay.
And it left enough of an impression on her that she based
Yeah.
her prayer life and her relationship with God on it.
Yeah. So those who tune in to Walking with Teresa, a beginner's guide to intentional spiritual growth, what can they expect to hear? Are they long clips? Are they more like 10 minutes or an hour? Or what can
So
people
they're
expect?
short. The first ones are about 10, 15 minutes. I don't think any of them go beyond 20 or 25.
Okay.
I never really sat down and timed them, but they're not long. And it's not a course in the sense that we have to do homework or anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's more introducing the spiritual life from a practical point of view, presenting the first 3 steps in Francisco de Osuna's book.
And I like that there are steps that gives you a clear framework of how to begin and how to continue going forward. Because I feel like we need that. I mean, the apostles asked Jesus, how do we pray, Lord?
Exactly, yeah. And there are a lot of excellent books on spiritual life, but because the spiritual life is so personal, it's a relationship between you and God, it's rather difficult to give any directions, one size fits all.
Oh, true.
But Francisco de Osuna does give 3 very basic steps, and the rest of the book is sort of reinforcing those steps. The 3 steps we address, Dominic and I address in the course, and the first one is to do what you are doing with all of you. In other words, try and get yourself focused as much as you can on what you're doing, and to cooperate with any graces that God gives you. So you're focusing on yourself and God. The second step is to give thanks in all situations, in all events. And that is where people will draw back. When things get tough, it's very difficult to be grateful to God. Why did you do this to me? What did I do wrong to land myself in this situation? And the example that I give is taken from the book The Hiding Place by Corrie ten Boom. And it describes the incident when Corrie and her sister Betsy were imprisoned in Ravensbrück concentration camp. And Betsy, who was spiritually farther advanced than Corrie, was giving thanks for the in the midst of the horrible situation in which they were in. And step by step, Betsy brings Corrie to a more spiritual consideration of the situation. Give thanks for the fact that we're together, 2 of us. Give thanks for the fact that we're able to smuggle a Bible in. And Corrie can go along with those. Give thanks for the fact that we are so crowded in this barracks, because that means there are more people with whom we can share God's word, which is an unusual way for looking at the horrible crowded situation in a concentration camp. And then Betsy says, give thanks for the fleas in the barracks. And Corrie says, no.
He draws
I
the
can
line.
never give thanks to God for fleas. And then Betsy reminds her, it says, St. Paul says, give thanks to God in all situations, not just the comfortable ones. So Corrie said, all right, I'll give thanks to God for the fleas. But then a few weeks later, she comes in and sees Betsy smiling to herself. And she asks what's going on. And Betsy says, I found out why the guards of the camp never enter our barracks. They don't want to catch the fleas.
Oh.
So
That is interesting.
they were able to be perfectly free in their discussions with the other women in the barracks.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Like my mouth is literally hanging open right now. I'm reading this book.
For sure. I mean, gratitude is such a powerful tool for orienting ourselves toward God.
Yeah.
Just recognizing that how the amazing ways that we're gifted in our lives, you know, but to have that level of gratitude is really amazing to aspire to.
And what is, we have about 3 minutes left in our last minutes. I want to just keep going, but what is the third step?
Okay, the first step is give thanks to God. And let me listen. Oops. The first step is do what you're doing all together. In other words, pull yourself. Don't just have your mind going off in one direction, your emotions going off in another, and just going through the motions.
Right.
Concentrate on what you're doing and why you're doing it.
Mm-hmm. So the 3 steps.
And realize that God is with you while you're doing it.
Yeah. Wow. Good stuff. So,
I want to make sure that we give out
Yes.
the website again so that people can access this wonderful podcast. So this is at flemingtoncarmel.org. And then at the top of the menu, there's a section that says From Carmel's Desk. And you should be able to click on that and access not only this podcast, but also the articles that you've written over the years.
Yes, I and other nuns of the monastery.
That's a wonderful resource. I know there will be several listeners who are excited to try this method of reorienting ourselves in prayer and our relationship with
and
God.
it's a perfect month for it because October is her
Her feast day, October 15th.
October 15th, yes.
So perfect month to try this out. I'm confident we can do it. You've definitely given me a lot of food for thought and some books to read.
Yes, I've written down The Hiding Place. And what was the title of Francisco de Asuna's book?
The Third Spiritual Alphabet.
The Third Spiritual Alphabet.
It's rather thick, and for our 21st century minds, it's a little bit different.
That's the AP course.
Just listen to the podcast, and then if you need the AP course, go that way.
That's a good way.
Well, thank you, sister, so much. It has been such a pleasure to speak with you today. We really appreciate you coming on.
Well, thank you for calling me.
Okay.
God bless you both.
Oh,
You
you
too.
too. Thank you.
Take care.
Okay, take care.
Wow.
That's pretty good stuff right there.
Oh
And you
my
know
goodness.
what? I'm definitely taking some of that to heart.
Yeah,
I'm gonna really, especially I'm gonna start with the toothbrush.
start with the toothbrush,
Yeah.
and I'm going to start with the kitchen because
The
that's where I am all the time.
It is. It is. Great. Well, everybody, I hope you enjoyed the show today. Thank you so much to Sister Gabriella. Check out the show notes and to find out more. And everybody have a good holy month of October.
See you again next time.